I think we are up for Judy Bound's first part of her testimony, don't you?
I'm very suspicious of her, and I'm wondering if Tangaroa took a rap for her for some reason. And this body showing back up, I wonder if it's the same person who's faked her death, and maybe Gusto found it out and then killed him for real. I don't know. Then somebody else would have to be in on it because now Gusto is injured. I don't know what in the world is going on.
I'm I'm very curious. A lot of the odds and ends of how this happened are making me very curious. So we will begin in Zodiac Hall. The test results have just come in, sir. Bless you. Traces of ubiquium were found in the teapot. They were? Means you beat me. You really need to drop this upset. What? But first is fast. Everybody knows it's better to be a. There's really no way for a prosecutor to think. Not a successful one, anyway. What? But Oh dear. Enough. Mr. Edgeworth, please refrain from taunting the boy. Ignore him, Eustace. He isn't worthy of your attention. But Gavel... Oh, alright. Why don't I take care of things here for now? In the meantime, you can perform the far more important task of going and checking on the victim. Oh, yeah, good idea. I'll be right back. You know, I've noticed, too, when he's surprised, the hair on the top goes up, but, like, it's like a question mark when it's situated, and then, like, an exclamation mark when he's... we shall see you shortly, then. Mr. Winter's annoying, but totally harmless. Judge Gavel, on the other hand. Now... Miss Bound, perhaps you could explain why traces of ubiquium were found in your teapot? I had no idea there was anything like that in there. Perhaps it's one of the ingredients in the dishwashing soap I use? So you were telling the court that you did not intentionally put ubiquium in the teapot? Yes, exactly. Why would I? Until today, I had no idea that it could even be used to make poison gas. Is this the first time we've seen her sweat?
No, she sweat before.
Objection!
You're a trained actress, are you not, Miss Bound? I'd have thought you'd be a more convincing liar. What do you mean? You have access to the Ultimate Cookbook, correct? A book that just happens to contain instructions on how to create the poison gas used in the attack? Meaning it's perfectly possible for you to know exactly how to make it. You are very well informed, Mr. Edgeworth. Miss Bound, is what Mr. Edgeworth said true? The book does contain information on how to make the poison gas, yes. But the fact that I have seen it doesn't make me guilty. Can I ask exactly how the gas was triggered? The victim used the blowtorch to heat the lid of one of the display cases, thereby melting the ubiquium. Heh, I see. But he locked himself in the room too, didn't he? Surely that and the fact he triggered it himself. Wouldn't it point to it being a suicide attempt? So she's not willing to admit anything.
No, she knows that he didn't use it and melt it out of jealousy. And she knew what triggered it.
Where would I have gotten a hold of the Pesticide Ultra? Oh, I don't know. Perhaps she stole it? Well, no, I did bump into Moody Judy a week or so ago. That very evening, I noticed my Infesticide Ultra had gone missing. Judy, surely you didn't. Felicia, you carry your bag of pharmaceuticals with you everywhere, don't you? There would have been any number of opportunities for someone other than myself to steal it from you. That's true, and I don't have any hard evidence that it definitely was Miss Bound who stole it. Jude, there's clearly something you're not telling us. Why don't you just come clean? We all know you'd never hurt somebody for no reason, so... Not you too. You think I'm guilty as well, Mr. Fender? Can you blame me? We've got one wing disguised as another, a gas trap in one of the display cases. You're the proprietor of the establishment. It's looking a lot like you did it, kiddo. You got this all wrong. You have to remember the gallery doesn't have any security cameras, nor any security personnel. If some ill-intentioned person or other wanted to get in undetected, I don't think I'd have much of a problem. Wow, you're probably asking to be burglarized. You need to be more careful. A great thief could have a field day in here. I don't think she's joking. And actually, it seems that Mr. Gusto did, in fact, enter the gallery before it opened. Jeez. Judy's one tough cookie. She's not budging an inch. Maybe it's time to rock a little technique Gregory taught me back in the day. And what technique might that be? So hear me out. Everything's connected to what happened 18 years back, yeah? And since we're not getting anywhere by focusing only on the here and now, maybe we ought to approach this from a different angle and look to the past for clues instead. I've heard about it thinking, so my father used this method as well. Alright, let's run this through the old Thinkatron. How was Jude's involved in what happened back then? According to Miss Bound, it was because of her that Mr. Frost's flavored ice sculptures melted. And yet his sculptures are here on display at this very gallery today. It's possible that she... Thank you, Fender. I think I know what I need to ask Miss Bound now. Hey, don't thank me. Thank your pops. Now take it away, Milesy. I'll grab the popcorn. Miss Bound, you said that you were the one who caused Mr. Frost's creations to melt 18 years ago, correct? I'm afraid so. I was young and foolish, and it was a terrible accident. And yet, what you did allowed you to open this exhibit, no? What do you mean? Yes, what do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? If you were going to ask such questions, perhaps a formal testimony from Miss Bound might be best. Yes, perhaps it might. I'd like to know a little more about Zodiac Hall, and about why Miss Bound decided to dedicate this space to Mr. Frost's work. Very well, if you believe it to be relevant to the case, I will allow it. Miss Bound, would you mind? Not at all. I'll do whatever it takes to prove that I'm innocent. Then please, can you give us some background on Zodiac Hall and the pieces on display here? It took 18 years, but at long last, I was finally able to buy Samson's home back a little while ago. But a place like this is expensive to maintain, so I decided to turn it into an art gallery. To that end, I collected as many Paul Halik pieces as I could from around the world. Because if I'm honest, it's always been something of a dream of mine to open a space dedicated to his work. Thank you for your testimony, Miss Bound. How wonderful it is that you were able to fulfill your dream. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, everything seems entirely above board to me. Judge Gabel, that was simply the witness's preliminary statement. As you surely know, the value of that testimony cannot be evaluated without due cross-examination. Ha! Spoken like a true attorney. Very well. You may do what you must.
Hold it!
18 years. You must have gone through a lot to buy it back, Miss Bound. This home, this place, such memories, Bound. I couldn't stand to lose what I had found. Samson, I did what I had to do. To see that home was waiting here for you. How does she make it look so easy? I'll say, but I wouldn't expect any less from a trained triple threat performer. If you could continue with your testimony, Miss Bound, minus the singing, if you please. But a place like this is expensive to maintain, so I decided to turn it into an art gallery.
Hold it!
You managed the gallery by yourself, Miss Bound? Yes, well, we only opened today, so I haven't done much actual managing yet, but I have to keep the mansion going. Can't have it falling down around my ears. Samson could come home any day, after all. So she really got the house back for him. I'm so sorry, Judy. I wish I could have done more. Oh, you've done plenty, Mr. Fender. If anyone should have done more, it's me. Even if the only thing I can do by now is to keep this place safe for Samson.
Hold it!
Paul Halik. That was Mr. Frost's pseudonym, correct? Yes, he adopted it while he was working as a sculptor in France. I see. I'm curious about some of the pieces in your collection, more specifically, how you're able to acquire the Taurus and Gemini sculptures. Yeah, and we still don't really know why they look different from the bottom.
Well,
It's the same from up
they were
top.
working together on this too. Maybe.
Yes. Yes, I was able to create replicas for the Winter Wing based on photos of the sculptures he made. Really? Perhaps you could go into some more detail on that? Yeah. Although there was a difference. Because they have the like mermaid tails.
Hold it!
Those photos you mentioned, you mean the ones you took yourself in Mr. Frost's room 18 years ago? Yes, you certainly know a lot about what happened back then, Mr. Edgeworth. Those statues in the Winter Wing were just copies. I didn't even get to see them before they melted. No, the sculptures in question were definitely not replicas, which means that Miss Bound is lying. I know, it's such an awful shame. And after we went to the trouble to recreate them too, the sculptures in the Winter Wing weren't replicas. They're the very ones from 18 years ago. I need to show her I'm aware of that or I'll never get to the truth. Okay, so. So. This is the right.
Objection!
Go away. I almost start dancing along. That's cute. Maybe it's the photo itself. So, I presented the Pisces statue sketch. This was made by Larry. And the Winterwing photo itself. Well, the gallery pamphlet also has, like, stuff like Gemini and the Taurus there.
But you can't see what they look
Right.
like.
No, we have more. Documents received from Fender.
I meant only that.
Yeah, only that. Goes back from Winterwing to this.
The thing about it is that you can't, but one thing is this page right here. You don't have any more. Okay, here. There's nothing there.
That I can see.
And so these two are different.
The left card.
Objection!
Oh. Maybe this again?
Hold it!
Well, this is the first time. Tell me more about this dream of yours, Miss Bound. Well, what I really wanted was to open a gallery with Samson, of course. A gallery of dance, a gallery of song, a gallery of gaiety and candy all day long. That was the idea, anyway. And here I thought art was to be appreciated in silence, not accompanied by musical numbers. Alas, Mr. Tangaroa transgressed against the edicts of the goddess of justice, and as such, that part of your dream may go permanently unfulfilled. No, Samson he's innocent. That awful prosecutor refused to listen, but it's true. He never hurt anybody. Mr. Tangaroa gave a false confession in order to protect Miss Bound. The two of them really did what they could to protect one another, didn't they? Let me press this again.
Hold it!
So... Maybe it's this. Sugar composition matches that of sugar found in the carefully liquid and already frost-free 18 years ago. Like it should match completely if they're replicas.
Objection!
There we go. We just need to read a little bit more, not just guess. Maybe I need to not guess more. I'm afraid you've run out of road, Miss Bound. You can lie all you like, but you can't deny the results of the test conducted on the sculpture's remains. And those tests leave no room for ambiguity. What you had on display weren't replicas. They were the very statues Mr. Frost carved 18 years ago. Well, I can probably help explain how they worked it out if you like, dear. It's the sugar, you see. You might think sugar is sugar is sugar, but the composition is actually very unique. You could probably recreate the statues, but the sweet secret of the chemical makeup? No chance. Thank you, Miss Scone. I don't recall asking for help, but still.
What do you think of that stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, Tangaroa.
The roots of these appear because they melted. They appear because you spirited them away and kept them hidden for these 18 long years. Ah. What? She could prepare flavored ice sculptures are out somewhere for all this time? It's not the most out there idea in the world, assuming you had a big enough ice box. Quiet, all of you. Miss Bound, have you anything to say in your defense? So you've already learned that much. Shall I take that to mean you admit to having hidden the flavored ice sculptures in question? No, I admit to no such thing. You haven't proven that I was the one who took those statues away. And you won't, because it would have been impossible for me to do so in the first place. The police were already here when they disappeared. How could I have done it without them noticing? Yeah, how indeed. I don't know yet exactly how you did it, but I'm far from ready to say that it was impossible for you to have stolen it away. You are a very persistent man, aren't you, Mr. Edgeworth? I am indeed, and I won't stop until I get to the truth. I see. And I'd better tell you exactly what I did that day 18 years ago. The whole time before judging began, I was waiting upstairs in our living area on standby. During the judging, I had to go change the camera's film cartridge for Samson. Before I could take the camera back to Samson, I discovered Mr. Frost's body. Later, around when your father arrived, I began to make the rounds and serve tea to everybody present. That was when I saw Mr. Gusto entering Mr. Frost's room. And those were my movements on the day it all happened. I hardly see how you can take issue in any of that. That's for us to decide, Miss Bound. Are you saying it's a contradiction in her story, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm more focused on proving the fact that she did indeed steal those statues. The question is, when would she have had the opportunity to do so? If I can pinpoint that, I might be able to prove what exactly she got up to. She was up to. What exactly she got up to, okay. So, I was waiting upstairs in the living area on standby. During the judging, I had a chance to change the camera's film cartridge. Before I could take the camera back to Samson, I discovered Mr. Frost's body. Later, around when your father arrived, I began to make the rounds and serve tea to everybody present. That was when I saw Mr. Gusto entering Mr. Frost's room. Alright. Starting with this.
Hold it!
What were you doing while you were waiting? I was in my room practicing some dance routines. I was on a TV show called Bacon Bop with Samson, you see. Bacon Bop? What kind of show was it? It was a children's show. The two of them would sing and dance as they made a variety of sweets. Whoa, that sounds awesome. Hold the phone, Miles. You used to watch it? My father introduced me to it. I might have watched an episode or two. so Miss Bound passed the time before judging began by practicing her dance routines. Is this the moment when Miss Bound stole the sculptures? Look,
I guess she's giving you an alibi, and one person's already locked up for it, and you don't believe him, so the only one that can vouch her out is Tangaroo.
right.
This was the moment.
This is when you remove the sculptures. But how would I have done that? Well, any great thief would have struggled to steal the sculptures around then, Mr. Edward. This is what I was worried about. I didn't think we really had enough to do anything.
Hold it!
Were you the only one who was able to move around freely during the judging? Well, I wouldn't say freely exactly, but I was able to move around more easily than the contestants, yes. Even so, I could hardly have spirited the sculpture's way while Samson was standing right there, could I? I ran straight off to change the film as soon as he asked me. I wouldn't have had time. Changing the film and the camera is because I have Mr. Tangarella. It's a send note for now. I don't think we'll get penalized by sending no. But before I could take the camera back to Samson, I discovered Mr. Frostbody.
Hold it!
You entered the room containing Mr. Tangaroa's work before bringing the camera back to him, correct? Yes, I heard the sound of something collapsing. Samson, are you in here? Yeah. Sound of the chocolate ship falling over after a certain someone took a bite out of one of the supports. And Mr. Tangaroa was still in Mr. Gusto's room when you found the body? Yes, I'm fairly sure that was the case. He was judging each room in order, and he liked to take his time. So the point at which he discovered Mr. Frost's body.
Hold
But
it!
she didn't see it while he was there. Remember, we saw the body and then it wasn't there.
Just as you did today? Yes, I went around and offered everybody working on the investigation a cup of tea. Present company included, I remember it well. You were here, there, upstairs, downstairs, everywhere with that little cart of yours. Interesting. And did anything strike you as strange around that time? Oh yeah, Gregory was singing the praises of Judy's tea, and I think he mentioned his saucer was cold. His saucer was cold?
It's underneath the cart. She's stealing it from everybody.
Ah. Miss Bound, I believe this was when you stole the sculptures. I hate to contradict you, but the fountain room was full of witnesses at that point, Mr. Fender included. Are you suggesting that I somehow got the sculptures out of Mr. Frost's room, right under everyone's
Yep.
nose?
And you have the cart as a piece of evidence.
Ah. So the little, tablecloth that was over it was hiding the sculpture. That's precisely what I'm suggesting.
Take that!
My father and Fender had no idea that one of the sculptures was mere inches away from them, because it wasn't just a tea set you were pushing around this time, but a hidden ice sculpture in glass case. Surely such a thing would have been impossible. How would a case of that size fit on a serving cart? It would have been spotted immediately. Who said anything about a serving cart? Well, I'm not sure I follow, Mr. Edgeworth. Are you suggesting... What are you suggesting she used instead? Oh. I'm suggesting that Miss Bound used this to transfer the sculptures. Oh, we already know that. This, the lift cart.
Yeah.
So maybe the sculpture was underneath.
Yes. To look like the regular cart.
Yes, and that's why it was so cold.
Take that!
And this is... the cart that Miss Bound used to move the flavored ice sculptures out of Mr. Frost's room 18 years ago. And it would appear that the very same cart is still here with us in this fountain room. We originally bought it for use in the contest. You're saying that Miss Bound loaded Mr. Frost's sculptures onto this cart and carried them off. I am. As you can imagine, all one would have to do is lay a case on its side, add a tablecloth, and it'd look exactly like a normal serving cloth, thus allowing her to move the sculptures around freely. Clever. Can it be? Holy moly, of course, that's why those saucers were so chilly. They were sitting on top of a big block of ice. Jews, how could you? Impressive. Then again, you are Mr. Gregory Edgeworth's son. I should have expected no less. There isn't a scrap of evidence that I stole the sculptures all those years ago now, and yet I knew that no matter what I said or did, I'd always be under a cloud of suspicion. So you admit it. You admit that you stole them from Mr. Frost's room. Yes, I do. I took those sculptures in their glass cases out of the room 18 years ago. As Mr. Edgeworth correctly deduced, I dressed up the lift card as a serving card to do it, and slipped in and out of Mr. Frost's room while I was going around serving tea to everybody. In the end, I'd removed not only the sculptures, but the flavored ice Zodiac blocks as well. Zodiac blocks? I feel like I've seen them for myself before. There's a huge block of ice on display here. It's be incredibly heavy, but maybe not, with it being hollow on the inside. The Winter Wing really is an exact replica of Mr. Frost's room from 18 years ago, and even though my father never saw them because they already melted, the Zodiac blocks must have been in the victim's room back then as well. When I had finished moving the 2 ice sculptures and the 2 Zodiac blocks out, I took 2 fresh, empty cases to Mr. Frost's room and put them where the original 2 had been. Only the sculptures had been kept in glass cases, you see, to prevent them from being damaged. The blocks were a little more robust, so they had been displayed as is. As stated in the contest rules, we were responsible for providing all display materials, including cases, meaning it would have been easy for her to repair those empty spares she swapped in. Mr. Frost's room contained quite a few other flavored icebergs in progress. I figured if I melted them down somehow, the resulting puddle would look like it came from the sculptures. Yeah, other flavored iceberg. Okay, that makes sense. I have to say, Mr. Edgeworth, that's quite the confession. Indeed, and I think she offered it so willingly because she knows there's nothing we can do with it. That's all I have to tell you. However, despite everything I've shared, you can't charge me with anything now, can you? What? How'd you figure that? Oh my. I would have thought you might know at least this much given we're at a crime scene. I suggest you memorize the various statutes of limitations outlined in this book, Statutes for Dummies. Look at the cat!
So I think, I'm not positive, but it's just weird. Once you name a suspect, I'm thinking of like 7 years or something. But no one was named as a suspect in this other than Tango, right?
Right, yeah, she was never named. Like, Judy was never... Statutes of what? Statutes of Limitations book dated jotted down more. Simply put, Kay, prosecutors only have a certain amount of time within which they can put a suspect on trial for a given crime. Take a closer look, shall we? So that means 7 years from the date of the crime for theft, 15 years from the date of the crime for murder. The statute is suspended should the suspect flee to a foreign country. The statute is suspended from the time of any accomplice's indictment to the end of the trial. Yes, Miss Bounce stole the ice sculptures 18 years ago, so it's too late to have her arrested for that crime. I don't believe it. Theft is a serious matter, especially when it involves removal of evidence from a crime scene. However, as you yourself pointed out, Miss Bound can no longer be prosecuted for her crime, rendering your revelation rather pointless, wouldn't you say, Mr.
Objection!
I wouldn't be so sure about that. For you see, the theft of the ice sculptures isn't my principal interest here. I find the body that reappeared 18 years after the theft to be of considerably more interest.
She froze it? The sculptures? They dumped him in the pond or the fountain?
Maybe. I don't know why. I am indeed. How do you keep a body hidden for 18 years without anybody finding it? By hiding it in a very unusual way. Ooh, now this is interesting. Are you telling me that you know where the body has been for all this time, Mr. Edgeworth? It's not such a big leap if you think about what Miss Bound had told us already. Let's just say it wasn't just flavored ice that she removed from Mr. Frost's room back then. Very well, if you are confident in this claim, let us put it to the test. Tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, where exactly was Mr. Frost's body hidden?
I guess with the sculptures, because you don't have a picture of a refrigerator, right? Or freezer.
No, I don't.
Take that!
A photograph of Mr. Frost works. And of the victim's body, Your Honor. You'll have to forgive me, but... Oh! She's saying what I think she's saying? The body is literally... like here?
Take that!
The Gemini sculpture? Yes, it may look like a sculpture at first glance, but it is in fact Mr. Frost's corpse. What? Surely you can't be serious. I don't see anything in the photograph to support such a wild claim. That's because a certain piece of evidence was used to hide the body in plain sight. What piece of evidence might that be? Court demands that you present what was used to conceal the body. Come with the luminous cloth?
That's not big enough for me.
I feel like it wouldn't be. Although, maybe the cloth is over the body? I don't want to say it yet. Let's go with that.
Take that!
One of the claws from in the autumn wind. Yeah, because remember, Delicia fished it out of the fountain where the body was found? When it's made to glow in just the right way, it's so visually convincing you might mistake it for ice. Isn't that right, Miss Scone? Well, yes, dear, but you can make it look like just anything, really, even blazing fire. And the right shade of blue would make it look like ice, yes, exactly like it, in fact. You are ruling for... Is it not the case that a certain special device is needed to generate those colors, though? Yeah, and it was there. Yeah. If you would... You know, I noticed that, but I just thought it was helping to power on the... Yeah, I didn't even really think about it like that. You'll notice there's a small box connected to the bottom of the Gemini display case. That's one of the very light-emitting devices in question. Detective Gumshoe even confirmed its presence. In fact, this particular device went missing 18 years ago. Back then, it was no doubt firmly connected to the cloth inside the display case, which means Miss Bound had no choice but to take it with her when she removed the sculpture. So you see, this cloth and the light-emitting device was being used to create the illusion that Mr. Frost's body was, in fact, a statue carved from ice. No, this can't be. Wait, so you're telling me that when we took that photo of us in the Winter Wing, yes, we were standing right in front of the body. But the body and the cloth were both recovered from the fountain. Why were they found there if the body was supposed to be in the Winter Wing disguised as a sculpture? Because there would have been no mystery as to how the body had been hidden if we had found it as is. Miss Bound needed to remove Mr. Frost from the Winter Wing in order to throw us off the scent. Ridiculous. I don't recall her sneaking around behind our backs to throw a body in the fountain. No, and she didn't need to, because she had another method at her disposal. Her trusty lift card, the same card that had proved so useful in executing her original theft. What? Ah! I believe she wheeled the body into one of the other wings and floated it down the stream to the fountain. The frozen body, being quite solid, probably got stuck somewhere along the way. Which is why only the cloth appeared at first. The cloth Miss Scone discovered. Way down the stream to the fountain. And the body followed afterwards, once it had thawed enough. It's an ingenious theory, Mr. Edgeworth, but can you prove that it was me?
Who else would it be?
It seems a little unfair to expect me to accept your accusations without proof, don't you think? What about an eyewitness? Do you think someone might have spotted her when she was moving the body? As a matter of fact, I do. And the contradiction in the piece of evidence I was provided will shed light on exactly how Miss Bound moved the body as well. And Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any evidence to support your allegation? Of course, I have a piece of very compelling proof right here. Please present it to the court. What evidence do you have that proves Miss Brown acted as you claimed? Is it the drawing of her moving
Yes.
with the blue cloth?
And then you have her reaching out, so...
Yeah.
Take that!
More drawings. And is that me?
Drawing over.
Yeah. Mr. Butts drew sketches of people as they passed through the fountain room. What I'm interested in is the cart we can see here. Miss Bound's serving cart, what about it? Hey, you don't see it? She's using the same trick she used 18 years ago. Ergo, we know that Miss Bound was busy moving Mr. Frost's body when this picture was being drawn.
Got a candy off of it.
If I may, I don't see Mr. Frost's body anywhere in that sketch. All I see is a picture of me delivering chocolates to everyone. Really, then allow me to direct your attention to the color of the tablecloth, Miss Bound. I'd originally thought that Mr. Butts had made an error, but he assured me that couldn't possibly be the case. This tablecloth appears to be light blue. Yes, a shade of tablecloth that Miss Bound doesn't seem to own. The cloth only appears to be light blue due to the body hiding just underneath. What? But the shape of the card is perfectly rectangular, just as one would expect. Surely it would be immediately obvious that the tablecloth was being draped directly over the body. Not that the body had been placed inside one of those hollow zodiac blocks in the winter wing. Place one of those on the lift card and it easily passed muster as a regular serving card, wouldn't you agree? God is injustice. Miss Bound, surely now you must admit that it was you who moved the body just as you did 18 years ago. Ha! I didn't expect you to deduce all of that from a single simple sketch. That sketch alone isn't really enough to prove your theory, is it? You needn't worry on that front. My case doesn't rest solely on Mr. Butts' artwork. Once you had disposed of the body, your serving card became a simple lift cart once more, which is exactly what we discovered here in the fountain room. And without a serving card, you have to find some place to put your chocolates. My chocolates, the ones I was handing out. As we saw in the sketch, you had originally placed them on top of the cart, but the chocolate you gave us came from your pocket. Yeah, mine was half melted. It was still super sweet and tasty, though. Why did you suddenly feel the need to put the chocolates in your pocket, Miss Bound? It was because you no longer had a serving cart to put them on, that's why. Ah! One moment, please. You have explained what Miss Bound did with the chocolates in the lift cart, but what about the tablecloth? Where did it go?
In the drinker with the rest of the shit? I mean, with the rest of the stuff?
If stabbing the chocolate in her pocket was the only solution she could think of, I doubt Miss Bound had the time to dispose of an entire tablecloth. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, do you have an answer for me? Miss Bound didn't hire or dispose of the tablecloth, Your Honor. In fact, it's right here in front of us. Perhaps you would care to enlighten us? Where exactly is the tablecloth?
In the fountain, right?
Yeah, because it's right in front of us and it's in this room. I know so now. First time I met Judes. I remember
He's
her.
wearing his apron.
Ah, son of a gun. Interesting. I think that might prove to be a vital clue. Yeah, maybe. If the defense is done talking amongst themselves, perhaps it can finally enlighten the court. Miss Bound has the tablecloth on her person, and in plain view, in fact. In plain view? Okay, so right behind the corset, is it? Or no, surely you don't mean Miss Bound? It's the cloth around your waist, isn't it? Given that the Zodiac blocks weren't kept in glass cases, that cloth would have been in direct contact with the ice. All we would need is to confirm my theory is to test the cloth with traces of the sugar used in Mr. Frost's work. The game is up, Miss Bound. It's time to come clean. You won't need to test the tablecloth. Everything you said is true. I stole Detective Delicia's Infesticide Ultra, and I moved Mr. Frost's body. It was me. It was all me. Alicia, I'm so sorry. Last week, I went into your bag, and I took it. And then, I put it in his pocket, hoping to make it look like he had tried to do it himself. I also made sure to leave no fingerprints but yours, just in case the police suspected foul play. Judy, you... Oh gosh. But Judes, why? Aren't we supposed to be on the same side, all fighting together to free Samson? We were, but I couldn't afford to get arrested. Not yet. Not until I'd finally proven that Samson is innocent. I'd always planned to give myself up in the end, I swear. I know it's easy to say that now, but why do it this way, though? It's not like you. I'm sorry, Mr. Fender. I caused you so much trouble. I've been the guilty party all along, ever since that day 18 years ago. Are you trying to tell us that the true culprit in the IS-7 case was you? I committed a terrible crime. I took those sculptures, and I stole them for purely selfish reasons. The moment Mr. Frost died, they became more than mere entries in a confectionery contest. They became the final works of Samson's favorite artist. I couldn't allow them to just melt away, not before he came home. And that meant I couldn't let anybody near them, not even the police. So I hid them. I knew it was wrong, but I just had to. I put them in the cold storage room for safekeeping. What I actually had done was far worse than anything I could possibly imagined. Because who would have thought that Mr. Frost's body itself was posing as one of the sculptures? So she didn't know about the body when she stole the sculptures? Samson is a kind man, a saint. He could never kill anybody, never. And yet because of what I did, the police never found Mr. Frost's body. Samson was found guilty. After all he'd done for me, he was my family, the only family I'd ever had. And he was the most important person in the entire world to me. And Judes. After his conviction, I was forced out of our home. I was finally able to return only a few days ago. And when I did, I went to the cold storage room to check one of the sculptures, and that's when I saw it. Mr. Frost's body. It had been there the whole time. Of course, by that point, the statute of limitations had expired. So I did what I did today. Because it was the only way I could think of to make things right.
Well, who had time to freeze it inside of a sculpture?
Like, if she didn't know about it, then who put the body there?
Right, and how did they have time to freeze it inside of it? Or they just put him in there and it froze over time?
Right, which I think that's how it would have been. It seems I've misunderstood her intentions. Everything she's done really has been for Mr. Tangaroa's sake. Hey, what are you thinking about, Mr. Edgeworth? Something that's been puzzling me. Why did Miss Bound use poison gas? Why not a more reliable method? And why disguise the autumn wing as the winter wing? The only reason I can think of is to confuse someone who was here 18 years ago. Yeah, I wonder what she had in mind. If she was trying to prove that Mr. Tangaroa is innocent, Miss Bound's ultimate goal must be to confess to her crime, find the true killer, ensure the body was found. Find the true killer?
Find the true killer.
Could she have been trying to discover the identity of the true culprit? Miss Bound, your ultimate aim was to see Mr. Tangaroa cleared of all charges, correct? And to that end, you had to expose the real killer and have the police find the body from 18 years ago. Is my understanding of your intentions correct? Exhibiting the sculptures was sure to force the killer to return to the crime scene. After all, they were the only person apart from you who knew that the body was hidden in the icework. Okay. So they would have freaked out thinking the body was about to be discovered and come running, yeah? Exactly. Miss Bound ran the risk that the killer might successfully cover the tracks this time. In the worst-case scenario, they might have even been able to remove Mr. Frost's body from the scene. So how could she lure the true killer into revealing themselves without putting vital evidence at risk? Oh, I see what you're getting at. You're saying that's why the Autumn Wing was all winter windy. So maybe Gusto's the killer, and that's why he tried to open the thing?
Maybe, but who knew that there was the poisonous thing?
Exactly, why was the poison there?
Because that would be the true killer, right? They had put it in there. Well, no, because it would have been all the other ones. She was literally trying to take out the true killer.
Huh. You were betting on one thing, Miss Bound, weren't you? That whoever opened the Pisces case you had so carefully discussed as the Gemini case would be the real perpetrator of the IS-7 incident. Oh! Is that why the bottom was different? Because it wasn't the same case? No. But that would mean the real killer was... Enough, not another word. Do you realize the implications of what you are saying, Mr. Edgeworth? Are you prepared to stand behind the accusation you are clearly about to make? Miss Bound set a trap for Mr. Frost's killer, meaning that whoever found themselves caught in the trap is highly likely to be the guilty party. But I lack the evidence to support such an assertion. To accuse someone without any evidence is not to be done lightly, so... should I really go ahead and make my accusation and name Mr. Frost's killer nonetheless? Yes. I think we should. My ultimate goal is to see the truth exposed. And to do that, I need to seize the moment. Yes, Judge Cavell, I am prepared to stand behind my accusation. I know exactly who is to blame for the IS-7 incident.
Take that!
Mr. Gusto, the victim of the poison gas attack is the perpetrator behind the IS-7 incident. Gusty? Mr. Gusto. Miss Bound, as we have established, you knew that the opening of the gallery would lure in the real culprit. You set up the poison gas trap in order to catch them. Do you dispute the facts thus far? You're a very impressive man, Mr. Edgeworth, just like your father. And of course, you're absolutely right. And perhaps you can tell us exactly what happened in your own words. Of course, I have nothing to hide anymore, so I might as well tell you everything. As you said, I set a trap here in the gallery to try and catch Mr. Frost's killer. Before we opened, I made sure that the door to the Autumn Wing was the only one that was unlocked. When opening time came, I went around to unlock the doors of various rooms, and found that the Autumn Wing had been locked from the inside. The killer's on the other side of the door. The thought, well, it frightened me. Then she simply walked away, leaving him to fall victim to her poison gas trap. When I heard that Mr. Gusto was being treated for gas inhalation, that's when I knew he was the murderer. All that was left was for the police to find Mr. Frost's body, and then Samson would finally be proven innocent. At least that was my plan. Juge, why didn't you tell me? You know I'm always here for you, right? We could have found another way. It didn't have to be like this. Thank you, Mr. Fender. You've been so very kind to me all these years. But I'm the one who created this mess, so it was up to me to try to clean it up. I didn't care what it took, as long as I could get Samson out of that awful place. Judy, Judy, Judy. 18 years ago, the police managed to cover up the fact that Mr. Frost's body had gone missing. If I went to them now and said it had reappeared, I was afraid they might have tried to cover things up again. So I worked to set off a very public incident here in the gallery, in front of as many witnesses as possible. I'm so sorry, Judy. You, Samson, Gregory, I let you all down. Fender, this can't be easy for him. No, I'm the one who should be apologizing. Mr. Edgeworth, Mr. Fender, I hope one day you can forgive me. And whatever punishment I have to face, I'm ready to accept it. But please, if I may ask one thing for you, it's that you simply must clear Samson's name. The way the truth of these past 18 years had come to light was unexpected, to say the least, and yet it had only set us down a path towards an even more shocking end.
I can play some more. I just need a little break.
Okay. How much of a break you think?
I just like to boost a little bit more tea. I was gonna get a caffeine.
Okay. We will turn off the stream and then we'll restart in a little bit.